Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. What is the right course of action when a clinic sends the results of a test that is very personal to your workplace? This one's from user Mount My Blade. Wife and I had in vitro fertilization done recently. Possible HIPAA violation? A few months ago, my wife and I recently went through in vitro fertilization. The fertility clinic makes it part of their process to test all patients for gonorrhea and chlamydia. No big deal, I guess. Our real issue is that the lab company sent the bill to my wife's workplace. It was addressed to her, but her workplace opened the bill. This was really embarrassing for my wife because the HR lady saw the bill. It only showed a line item for chlamydia GC amplification. In an attempt to save face, she had to explain our infertility issues, which is hard for her to do. After making some phone calls, it appears that the fertility clinic filled the forms out correctly, and the lab company sent the bill to the wrong address. When I called them, they apologized and said they'd look into it. They followed up with us sending a copy of the form the clinic sent in, which was filled out correctly. They claimed it was the clinic's fault, but the form showed otherwise. We were upset with this, but decided to just move on. That was all a few months ago. Well, today we received the other bill. I guess one for each of us. I don't know why this one took so long. This was again sent to my wife's workplace and again opened. Is this a HIPAA violation? Thanks. So, just in case you kinda know what a HIPAA is but don't fully know, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability, or HIPAA, violations happen when the acquisition, access, use, or disclosure of protected health information is done in a way that results in a significant personal risk of the patient. So, knowing this, do you think this accounts for a HIPAA violation? In my opinion, I think it does, because it is personal health information that is being shared to people who shouldn't be having it. But of course, that's just my opinion, and I am not an expert in the law. So how about we move on to the community comments to see what they have to say to OP. R3D Sleeves says, make a HIPAA complaint to the Federal Office of Civil Rights. It's available in a web form on their site. They'll evaluate it and potentially do an investigation. Just note, this might take a long time because there are a lot and it may not result in anything. Also, you should know that HIPAA currently provides no compensation for breach victims, so it's just a punitive measure at most. OP responds, thank you, we are just going to file the complaint. We weren't looking for any sort of compensation, we just want the lab to realize and own their mistake if it is actually a violation. OP's name checks out says, it's still being addressed to her, so it's hard to see how it would be. That said, you can file a complaint with the Department of Health and Human Services and they'll look into it. OP responds, thanks for the reply. That makes sense. My gut is telling me there is something wrong about all this, but my gut isn't the law. If only to get the lab to be more mindful. I might follow your advice and file a complaint with HHS. Chico's Bail Bonds says, wow, an actual HIPAA violation on this sub. Assuming the lab is a covered entity, it almost certainly is, then it should have reported the first breach both to you and to HHS. They might have had a defense that it was addressed to your wife, but the second one is inexcusable. I would let the lab know that you expect them to self-report the breach to HHS. OP's edit. Thanks to everyone for their replies. We decided to file a complaint and let the investigating agency decide if there was a violation. Okay, well, OP took the advice from the sub and now we need to wait about what happens with the investigation. Or do we? Let's move on to the update to see what happened. My wife and I had put this out of our minds and haven't thought about it in months. However, today we received a letter from the lab that we felt violated HIPAA. They confirmed that there was a HIPAA violation and decided to reimburse us the cost of the lab work. Amazing! They stated they would pass their findings on to the Office for Civil Rights. Thank you all. In related news, our first child is due Tuesday. Well, OP, I guess that's good news all around. First of all, congratulations to your wife and to you on the birth of your first child. Here's hoping that you guys have an amazing experience parenting. Also, congratulations on getting the lab to acknowledge the violation and their mistake. And hopefully they followed through with passing their findings onto the Office for Civil Rights. Now, as you can see, there is still some time left in the video, so how about we go ahead and squeeze in another post. A mid-video PSA. Please don't forget that the goal for this year is to reach 100,000 subscribers. Please help me out and just go ahead and click subscribe if you like these videos and you still haven't subscribed. Now, let's get back to the story. This one's from user GTACG. Found cash in my walls. It's mine, right? Can I deposit them in the bank and pay back my student loans? Washington State. I inherited a house from my uncle 3 years ago, and by accident, trying to pass a cable there, I found a stack of cash hidden in the wall. I bought a stud finder and looked through all walls today and found about $100,000 cash and a VHS cassette. They were all packaged, sealed in very strong and thick plastic bags. I ordered a VHS player for my computer already to see what's on the tape, but my question is whether I can take this cash to my bank and deposit them without raising suspicions? Do I need to do that $10,000 at a time or all in one go? I want to use this to pay back my student loans, which are now about $65,000. I'll use the rest to pay off my car and the rest for building an emergency fund. Well, short and sweet and to the point, what do you guys think? Do you think OP can take all that money? Does he need to pay taxes on it? Since he inherited the house, does that mean that the money is also part of the inheritance and therefore maybe tax-free? I honestly don't know, because I'm not an expert. So how about we move on to the community comments to see what kind of advice they gave OP. Fat Kids Fan Club says, talk to a lawyer. Do not talk to your mother, father, siblings, neighbors, cousins, friends, co-workers, or anyone who is not your lawyer. Quality Contributor says, for 100K, a lawyer is probably worth talking to. Some of this is going to depend on the phrasing of the will and inheritance. OP responds, I remember the phrasing, house and all its contents was there. Besides, there was nobody else except me. The letter QWERTY says, there's always money in the banana stand. Wink click. The presence of the money might have led the executor of his estate to misstate its value, which means you might not have paid the right amount of tax. If he willed all of his money to someone and that someone isn't you, you're about to have a very sad day. You're definitely going to want to run this one past a lawyer. Alright, well, OP got some really solid advice. The first commenter to tell him not to talk to anybody except a lawyer, that's great advice, because as soon as you get some money like you win the lottery or something, you suddenly have so many friends, right? But in any case, the general consensus was OP, go to a lawyer. So how about we move on to the update to see what happened? I watched the VHS tape and it was of my uncle going on a 25-minute speech about government conspiracies and how banks cannot be trusted. That's why he kept his savings in cash. He didn't even trust a safe deposit box. That's why they were kept in his walls. And it was 120,000 as he said it in the video. I found the other 20 grand. I went to a lawyer and showed her the will, the video, and she said it's surprisingly common for people to leave cash inheritance in our area. She talked to the executor of the will as well, and then wrote a letter for me to give to the bank which explained this is from a cash inheritance with contact details of the executor in case the bank needed to contact them. I scheduled an appointment with the bank. When I told them it's for a cash deposit, they told me I don't need an appointment for that, but I told them it's for a large deposit. They still said no appointment is necessary, but then I said it's a very large deposit, so they booked the appointment. Everything went smoothly at the bank. They made a copy of the letter that my lawyer had prepared. Money was in my account a few hours later. I made payments and my student loans and car loan are both paid off, and now I have a larger emergency fund. Thanks! Well, OP, this is awesome! You started out with zero debt and an emergency fund. Fantastic. Your uncle really set you up and gave you a head start because now you can just work and save. You don't need to be paying any student loans, so that's terrific. Apart from that and being happy for you, there's not much more to say. So here's wishing you all the best, OP. Take care. And this is the end of the video, so if you liked it, just click like. Don't forget that the goal for this year is 100,000 subscribers, so please don't forget to subscribe. Additionally, you can always join my Discord server to chat with other people in the community, or go to my subreddit to share your stories. And having said all that, I'll see you guys on the next video.